Test, test.
Standard bid bond and could potentially give the bidder a competitive advantage over the other bidders. Therefore, it cannot be accepted. It is recommended that the board deem Servitec Electric's bid to be non-responsive for the above reasons. Servitec Electric has been provided with a copy of this report and was notified of this board meeting in the event they have further concerns on these issues, and they have acknowledged receipt of the notification. A protest was submitted by Baker Electric, the second low bidder, contesting the validity of Servitec Electric's bid bond. And as discussed, the city's review is in agreement with Baker Electric's protest. Baker Electric has been provided with the report and was notified of this board meeting in the event they have further comments. And they have acknowledged receipt of the notification as well. Baker Electric submitted a bid for $1,665,427, which is 0.87% lower than the engineer's estimate of $1.68 million. They have met the mandatory subcontracting goal of 4% by pledging 4.36%, and the WBE goal of 2% by pledging 4.36%. They have complied with the Business Inclusion Program's outreach requirements and all other requirements in order to be considered a responsive, responsible bidder. The 8% reduction to the bid amount offered by the Local Business Preference Program did not affect the order of the bids because Baker Electric is a certified local business enterprise. The bid bond provided by Baker for this project is still valid, and therefore we are recommending that the board receive and file the protest and award Baker Electric the contract for this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janet. Colleagues, let's open this up for conversation. We'll start with Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I actually don't have any questions. I was briefed on this matter and asked tons of questions during that time. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis.
No, I don't have any questions other than we haven't had any response from the low bidder, have we? I mean, not the low bidder, the Servitec Electric company, have we?
Well, we have had some communication, and he is accepting of our determination.
Okay.
As far as the bid bond is concerned, yeah.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas.
I have no questions. We've had, this has been an ongoing issue, so I'm fine with it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Colosa.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right.
President Good, this is Ted. I concur in the recommendations. Just a minor clarification, and I apologize if I misunderstood the staff report. I thought the staff indicated when discussing the local business bid preference, I thought they mentioned that Baker Electric was a certified local business. And if I misunderstood, my apologies. They're not a certified local business, but nevertheless, they are, even with application of the local business program. Baker Electric is the lowest responsive bidder. So, and if I misunderstood staff, my apologies. I thought she said that Baker Electric is a certified local business enterprise. They're not.
Okay.
Okay.
It doesn't make any difference.
Got it.
And Janet, I apologize if I misunderstood.
No, I think I heard that too.
Thank you, Jordan. Janet?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the report, and it says Baker Electric OBE.
Yeah.
And then in this paragraph talking about the local business, it doesn't include Baker as being a local business. But again, it's not making any difference. The recommendation stands, and I support the recommendation. I just meant to clarify.
Yeah, for the record. Understood. Okay, unless you have any questions or comments, Ms. Kwan, I think we can move forward. Did I ask all the commissioners have had an opportunity to speak?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Mr. Jordan, for clarifying the record. And do I have a motion to move this forward?
So move.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any objections or concerns, President Pro Tem Davis or Commissioner Coloso?
None for me.
None for me.
All right. Hearing no objections, the item is approved forthwith. Thank you, Ms. Kwan.
Thank you.
All right. And again, that will be, actually, I apologize. That is adopted as amended, subject to the mayor's cost containment process. Okay. All right, colleagues, let's move forward to item number 12, which is an oral report, advisement number 1, transportation project status updates from Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Rick Clark, Executive Director of Metro, is with us this morning. Good morning, Rick.
Thank you, President. Good. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great.
See you and hear you, and I think Gary Baker's with you too, right? So we're...
Yeah, we have actually all our project managers with us.
Oh, terrific.
So thanks again, President Good, for giving us the opportunity to present. We appreciate the chance to come before the board and give an overall update. So thanks to you and the commissioners. We'll get a presentation up. Before we go into each project, I just wanted to say in general a couple things for the board's information. One is we're continuing to do all our construction projects. Nothing has stopped. It is a challenge, particularly during this surge period and new guidelines that we have from Cal OSHA, but our contractors are doing a great job, really, and I have to thank our people out in the field. So, but construction is moving forward. The other thing I wanted to let you know, because hopefully it ultimately comes in front of this board, is that we are starting to negotiate a new overall master cooperative agreement with the city of Los Angeles. So we have some kickoff meetings with the city this week, and this will be a collaborative effort between Metro and the city that I'm sure you'll be kept up to date on.
Thank you for that, Rick. And Rick, if I could just interrupt 1 second, I just want to flag for you and your crew. I unfortunately have to excuse myself a little before 11:30, so I'm not going to say anything. I'm handing the virtual gavel over to Vice President Garcia right now. I don't want to interrupt in case you guys run into that. So I just want to let you know that. But please go ahead and forgive the interruption.
Thank you, and we appreciate that. And we'll go through it quickly, but of course we'll pause after each project if there's any questions from the commissioners. So I think we have Johanna from my staff who is going to put the presentation up. And we'll go through each of our team members, and I'll ask you as you go through your presentation, just indicate to Johanna when to go to the next slide. So we're going to start with our our Great Crenshaw project and give you a status on that. And I think we have Stephanie Leslie's going to present Crenshaw. Is that correct, Stephanie? Maybe not. So,
can you hear me now, Rick?
yes. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay. Crenshaw, 8.5 miles of new light rail starting at the north end at the Expo line, Crenshaw and Expo, and ending at the south end at the Green Line Aviation Station. Next slide, please. This is a photo from our Century Aviation Station placing the concrete for the plaza. Next slide. Our testing of the trains has begun, and this is a test at the Arborvita crossing, testing the bells, whistles, etc. at this crossing. Next slide. Moving north, this is our Westchester station at Hendry Avenue. I think the last time we presented to you, we were still pouring the concrete at the platform level. So now all of our platforms have been poured. We have installed the LCD monitors. Our CCTV cameras have been installed now. Stations are looking, the at-grade stations are looking very good these days. Next slide. Continuing north, this is our La Brea station, our downtown Inglewood station. On the left, this is an example of the station pylons that will be used at each of the 8 stations. On the right, these are our ADA ramps and our crossing signals at that station. Next slide. Continuing north to Slauson, we have photos of our platform area. Again, the LCD monitors are being installed on the right photo. Our CCTV cameras have already been installed also. Next slide. The paving through Park Mesa is underway. The contractor has installed all of the paving at the intersections where the train will cross the cross streets. In between the intersections, that paving will be done with a follow-on contract with the city. But all of Walshay's work through Park Mesa at the intersections has been done. They're also finishing up the signal work and street lights in that segment, so we can turn that over to the city to perform their work anytime after the beginning of the year. Next slide. This is my favorite. If you can start the video, please. We have moved 2 trains north on the north half of the project, and we are now testing trains on Crenshaw Boulevard and the northern half of the project using they're being run under their own power. So we started off at our UG3 section, which is around 67th, and this train is continuing north. Well, actually, this is now a shot moving south along Crenshaw Boulevard. This was a major milestone for the project. The testing on Crenshaw Boulevard began, I believe, the week before Thanksgiving, and it continues now. This photo is at the Lamert Park Station at Vernon Avenue. The photo on the bottom is taken back from street view, and as you move in closer, you get a picture on the upper right of the art installation that surrounds the entrance, taking the escalators that will take you down below to the concourse level. Next slide. And as requested, this is a look forward at our street closures that we will be anticipating over the next 12 months. Next slide. Annette, are you on?
Annette is on, and this is Ida as well here. So in terms of outreach to our stakeholders, we have been continuing to reach out and communicate the extent of all the closures and notifications related to the street closures, as you can see on this slide. In addition, we continue our work with businesses and mitigating impacts to businesses through our various construction mitigation programs. Next slide. And here is a little bit more information about Business Solution Center. And I don't know if Sydney is on the line.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm on the line. For the Business Solution Center, they are located along the Crenshaw alignment, and they deliver hands-on business development and expert business advice and coaching, technical assistance as well, and referrals to technical experts in areas of special need. They have been ramping up their services during COVID-19 in terms of assisting businesses and accessing local grant and loan opportunities, and especially with the technical assistance aspect of accessing their clientele through web services. For some high-level statistics, up through November 2020, the number of businesses that the BSC has contacted is 475. The number of business intakes and assessments they've completed, which is the initial assessment that the BSC will do of a small business, is 363. And the total number of clients served is 341. And the number of referrals for small businesses is 1,145. Thank you. And then for some data updates for the Business Interruption Fund, as of early this month, the 4th of December, the total number of grants we've awarded to small businesses along the Crenshaw LAX Transit Project is 729, totaling a grant value of $8,024,942.73. to a total business count of 227 small businesses.
So before we move to Regional Connector, any questions from the board on Crenshaw? Okay. You have an opportunity.
Yeah, I have some questions on Crenshaw. I'm sorry for the delay. In terms of the overall project which you have presented, I remain very supportive and very proud of what we have been able to do with the Business Interruption Fund. We know that small businesses, just in and of themselves, all times have a challenge just to stay in business. And so it is really important what you're doing and being sensitive to being able to help to accommodate them as we move and progress. We know that the results of the work that you're doing will help further develop these small businesses, because it will bring more potential customers to them when we open up our corridors of transportation. Now, as we look at the project in general, I want to get a better understanding of where we are. I do know that the Park Mesa area, we've, I guess, had numerous meetings with them over the period in which we've been working on the project. Have we been able to resolve some of the neighborhood concerns that they have with regard to how we are moving on that station or that location? Park Mesa area?
I believe we have. We've had, even through COVID, we have continued our community meetings, and we are getting favorable feedback from the community. I think a lot of them are happy that they're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and seeing that there is an end in sight. But maybe Annette or Ida, do you want to add to that?
Yes, hi, this is Annette Cortez, Construction Relations Manager on the Crenshaw Lakes project. Good morning. Yes, Stephanie has stated we have continued to communicate with the stakeholders. We have adjusted our outreach given restrictions, and there is an e-newsletter that goes out. We've made phone calls to key stakeholders, and we have been receiving favorable feedback. We also continue to have our virtual bi-monthly community update meetings, and we've had a great turnout, large numbers of participation given probably now because people can just call in or log onto their computer or their phone, wherever they're at, and not have to be on site. So all the testing and the pictures of the structures that are built have created lots of excitement, and we are getting favorable feedback from the community.
Great. I noticed that in terms of the Leimert Park station, that we are able to have artwork there. Is artwork integrated throughout the various stations that will be going through the community, or is that just unique to the Leimert Park area?
All 8 of our stations will have artwork incorporated into them. We have porcelain enamel panels that are going in at the station level, platform level, at all 8 stations. Our 3 underground stations, in addition to the porcelain enamel at the platform level, which is underground, at the concourse level, we are installing mosaic artwork pieces at each of those 3 stations. Plus, as you saw in the photo at Vernon, we have the glass art surround, which is around the escalator entrance to the concourse level. So each of the 3 underground stations will have that glass work. Same type of detail, but just a different art installation.
Great. Now, in terms of our overall project, when do we anticipate that we will be complete with the project?
Stephanie, let me answer that. So, Commissioner, that's the $1 million question. Right now, you could see the sections you can see from the surface. It looks like the project's just about done. The underground stations are where the critical path lies, and it primarily revolves around communications testing and lack of progress on doing that communications testing. There's 2,500 local field acceptance tests that have to be done, and many of these are life safety related. They have to do with the tunnel ventilation system, the radio system, fire alarm system, and fire alarms, sounds pretty straightforward, and really it is. But take one of these underground stations, there's so many rooms down there, and when one fire alarm goes off, a whole bunch of things have to happen. The escalators have to stop, the elevators go to a certain floor, the HVAC system shuts down, and there's over 100 of these, and all those interfaces have to be tested. So until the contractor gets a better handle on the testing progress, we have not projected an opening date. We're shooting for it at the end of 2021, but again, we want to see more progress from the contractor on their testing.
Now, when we originally started the project, what was our original anticipated completion date? What had we been saying? What was our educated guess?
So, Commissioner, the original date was November 2019. So, we're a little beyond that now.
Now, so that's 2019, 2021. And we can't even say that in 21, unless those technical things that you've mentioned regarding communication and public safety are completed, obviously we wouldn't even begin to suggest that it could open without those things. However, when looking at where we are, we in the past had some discussion about our working with the Bureau of Engineering, with whom we have to work to get some of these responses on the regulations of our plans. And I would suspect that that's still the case as we look at the project right now. We're needing to deal with, communicate with engineering and submit to them plans for approval, and particularly as it relates to communication. Is that true?
Commissioner, the communications is pretty much in Metro's ball court. The BOE doesn't really regulate that.
Okay.
Most of our interface with BOE is at the surface level and when we were doing excavation. I will say we've made a good progress, and I have to give credit to Streets LA. We had a issue with the contractor as to what was in the scope of the paving at Park Mesa Heights. And, you know, Stephanie, in conjunction with several people at or Streets LA, negotiated that actually Streets LA is going to do that work for us. And again, I want to really thank Adele and everybody on his team and Stephanie who negotiated this, because it's a strategy we're using to get these things done and not let them linger.
Well, my question to you is that now that it is in the scope of oversight for MTA staff and administrators, what then would you say has been the challenge for us in terms of identifying a plan and measuring the timeline for completion so that we could have a more of an educated guess as to how we could successfully, one, set a goal for completion for communication, and then effectively monitor it to that goal? What seems to have, or what seems to be currently, the problem in working with the contractor from the MTA perspective?
From the MTA perspective is that the contractor to us did not put enough resources into this. You know, I'm used to when you're wrapping up a job, you know, contractors go all out, they work double time, they work weekends. We just haven't seen that. The sequence is the contractor, the prime, will get done things like wiring and conduits and then turn it over to the specialty subcontractors. That was supposed to have happened in May. It still hasn't completely happened. The subcontractors have committed that they'll step up once they're given access. So again, there's 2,500 these local field acceptance tests that need to be done. I think about half of them, little less than half, are done right now. And their progress just hasn't been enough for me to feel comfortable to project a date. And again, this is a tough thing. We've told our board this, but as you noted, Commissioner, we're not going to cut corners and get a system that's not reliable or even unsafe.
No, not at all. But what I am interested in as a member of the board is what has been their response to our performance as it relates to the implementation of the communication system that's badly needed. What have they been able to communicate to you about their performance, or you could even say the lack of performance?
So we do have regular weekly meetings, you know, going up to the ownership. They say a number of things. They say they do plan to step up. They don't necessarily disagree with us in our projections of progress or lack thereof. They plan to, they said, do better management of the subcontractors. But, you know, seeing is believing, and so far we just haven't seen it. I will say the words and the commitment seem to be there from the contractor, but the performance has not. And in particular is the, again, the somewhat appears to us the lack of resources. Why aren't they working around the clock? Why aren't they working on weekends? You know, that costs money, you know, and they're not putting out the resources to do it. You know, it does cost money, but the work's got to be done sometimes or another. So again,
has this contractor done a project like this before? Is this probably the first time that they've done something with as much challenge and detail, perhaps, you think?
I think that's part of it. I don't know that they've done a subway station like this. I could be wrong, but you know, I'll tell you, even good contractors, if they don't put the right people on the job, they're going to fall behind. There are some things going for us. The team they have in place now is competent. I can't say they're not. They know what has to be done. They know how to deliver this, but they can't necessarily commit all the resources that are needed to get it done. Metro's team is out there. We're on top of this. We're helping them. You know, we're still talking to each other. And, you know, admittedly, it is very complex work. Somebody likened it to 1,000 black boxes that all have to talk to each other, and they're all software driven. So it's not an easy task that they have in front of them. And Metro has a good team out there. However, we can support them and help them get through this.
We are approximately 2 years behind our anticipated achievement of reaching the goal. Is that pretty accurate, or somewhere in the ballpark figure there?
Yes, Commissioner, given that the original date was November 2019. I also know we talked to a lot of our colleagues around the country. We just had a call with San Francisco Muni, who's building an underground section in downtown San Francisco. They're dealing with many of the same things. Our projects, particularly the tunneling projects, have just seemed to have gotten more complex and more challenging over time. And it's something our industry has to address.
Well, we really need to do something. I appreciate you doing the outreach to explore best practices from other regions that are doing similar things in terms of implementing a transportation system. And I think that is how you do get the data. You go to those who have been successful at achieving these projects, and we can't be too proud to beg for the appropriate information to get us to where we want to get. But as we look at our biggest challenge in this project, we are way behind. And while I don't want to give anybody a heart attack, I do want you to know that we have noticed that we are way behind.
Yes.
We're way behind. And I would hope, and it's easy perhaps for me to say it from across the street, but I would hope that we could think of some ways that we could get some best practices. Somebody somewhere in the country has been able to do this thing. And I hope that we will continue to explore, and I hope, and my wish is that we can find them and we will be open to how they are able to do it. What are the kinds of charts and techniques that they are using? But I think you have already mentioned to me here one of the things that's not being done, and that is the continued work. You see a big vacation on the weekend. Maybe it is that when we look at other cities that have done these kinds of projects and have completed them, I know Charlotte, North Carolina did something, a much smaller system, I don't know if Houston has done something. I know Washington many years did some things, but it seems to me that there ought to be some new techniques that we can use that we have not being used. That you are absolutely right, that I don't know if we pay more money on the weekend when people come in and work with us on these projects, and if that then would become a financial challenge for us. But we should really, they should listen to you, and they need to show more of an effort, you know, than what they're currently doing. And I don't know what the answer to this question is, but I know that we need to do something different than what we're currently doing.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Commissioner. We are going to have a good lessons learned on this, but I do think, and you'll hear from some of our projects that obviously they're in an earlier stage, but they're going much better, and a lot of the early problems we saw in Crenshaw we're not seeing on other projects. That's not to say they don't have issues, because all of them do, but
well, that is precisely my point. Of all the other projects, it seems that the Crenshaw one is dragging way behind. And it's so cliche to the challenge we have on so many other levels, and you know what I mean. It's so cliche, so reflective of what we get from service delivery in this area of town on everything else. And there are some strengths in this project. Julian Dixon, who used to be the congressman many, many years ago, was the leader in helping to fight for funding for this entire project. And so it's quite a paradox that as we look at the service delivery of rail transportation, that it's in Julian's district where the least service is being provided in the least timely manner. So my point is that I think you are right on as the leader. I just wish you would assert yourself a little bit more with the contractor. And it's an issue of respect. It's not an issue of power. We're not into this struggle about something else other than the rail. And it would be my hope that this contractor has the same value that we have, which is we want a project that we can feel good about, and we want a project where we're going to do our best on. And you have expressed that working on the weekend will do it, notwithstanding that overcharging us, then I would hope that they would work with you and you wouldn't have to beg them like they are a group of children and you're trying to force them and having to pull and nug at them to do what they professionally ought to be committed to do. So no, we're not happy with the long wait, the lack of expeditious service delivery, because we know we have the capability of doing better, and we have done better. That all said, there are some great things that you have done. As I started out giving my remarks, I'm very pleased and proud of the fund that you do for small businesses. And I think the mayor and you and the board members down there at MTA, you all ought to be commended for that. And I think as we look at other urban areas across the country, they need to adopt your policy on that. But just here in the city of Los Angeles, I want them to work with you a little more effectively. I want them to work with you a little bit more efficiently. I want them to demonstrate to you that they are concerned and that they take pride in their work. And based upon what I'm hearing from you, I'm not convinced that they are doing the best that they can do. So that's my 2 cents, and thank you for indulging me.
no.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. You made very good and excellent points on this project. Any other questions, commissioners, on this project, specifically for the Crenshaw Transit project?
None for me. Thank you.
Okay, hearing none. Commissioner Coloz, Commissioner Villegas.
No questions for me. I appreciate it. I appreciate the extensive comments too that Commissioner Davis made, just to shed a little bit of context for the project. Thank you so much.
I agree. Agreed. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. With that, Mr. Clark, you want to move on to the next project?
Yes, the next project is the Regional Connector Project, and Gary Baker, our project manager, will walk through this. Gary?
Good morning, Commissioners. Welcome. I'd like to lead you through just a very brief overview of the Regional Connector Project. It's amazing, but we're entering the final year of major construction on the job, and we're very excited about that. We're fortunate here to have a very good contractor. The contractor is very responsive. It makes a huge difference on a project. And of course, by contrast with the Crenshaw LAX project, this is a much less difficult project to construct. But we're nevertheless, we're excited about adding 3 new stations downtown. We've crossed 70% complete. The next year, they're going to have a lot of high value work that's being done. While the construction will not be completed until 2022, you'll see most of the work being done this next year. So, next slide, please. I'm sorry I don't have a video. Stephanie has raised the bar a little bit. I'll take you on a little virtual tour of the 3 stations and the Flower Street that we have. You may remember back in August that we came to you asking for a street closure of Central Avenue here in Little Tokyo. These pictures, the one on the left is the paving work we were able to complete as promised for an opening before the Thanksgiving holiday. On the right, you can see just some of the roof deck of the station being completed. Again, just representative of all the work that's progressing throughout the project. Next slide. So at the historic Broadway Street station, this is one of our more challenging sections. You may remember this station has a big commercial building that's going to be constructed over top of our station. But these photos here just represent the work that's being done under the street, under 2nd Street. Again, this was a closure requested, I think, back in October. The end of October, we implemented this. It's going well. You can see under the street there are a lot of backfilling operations that are continuing. And so the work on the guideway is on schedule at this location. Next slide. At the Grand Avenue Bunker Hill Station, we're constructing a pedestrian overcrossing between our station and the Broad Museum, or the Broad parking lot, not as a Broad facility, but as a public right-of-way for access down to Grand Avenue. And the picture on the left is we started some foundation work a few weeks ago. And so the picture on the right just represents the roof deck of a station that at one time was a 110-foot hole in the ground. So a lot of progress has been at the 2nd and Hope Street station. Next slide. So when we come to Flower Street, our box is complete. You can see the backfilling operations there on the left. On the right there is the waterproofing membrane, but again, we're coming up against utilities. And on the next slide, I have a schedule of the upcoming street closure requests that will be coming to the board for shortly. You can see Flower Street is listed there, starting in mid-March. We expect to be restoring Flower Street, and that's a series of weekend closures, these 55-hour weekend closures that we adopted when we decked the street. We'll be doing the same thing as we restore the street. And then also in the spring of April-May timeframe, we'll be coming to restore the street at Hope. So those are the 2 remaining street closures that we'll be requesting in the coming months. Next slide. Community relations continues to be an important part of the project. We can't be successful without it. We've had the focus recently has been on the service interruption or the bus bridge around the Little Tokyo station. That has done very successfully. There's tremendous outreach with the community on that. And I think people have adjusted to the alternate bus service. And then likewise, we're continuing to promote businesses there, and we've adopted some alternate advertising and marketing programs for some of the local businesses. So that continues to remain a focus. And then finally, the last slide of the presentation this morning is the Business Interruption Fund. I think since the last report, we've had 2 additional grants valued at $68,000 plus in the Little Tokyo area. So we're continuing to support the small businesses there through the Business Interruption Fund as various businesses qualify for that assistance. So that concludes my presentation. Just want to wish everyone a happy holiday. I'll be certainly glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Gary, for that. Excellent presentation. Any questions, commissioners, on our regional connector transit project? Gary, you're off the hook on questions this time.
I've seen a lot of progress being made. It's I know you guys are all like fast tracking this and taking advantage of the state home orders. So I see like a lot of work being done. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Mr. Baker. We'll move on to, I imagine we still have another presentation? Yes, the purple line.
Yes, we have 3 Purple Line segments. Of course, we'll start with Purple Line Section 1 from Wilshire Western to Wilshire La Cienega. I'll go through this. Jim Cohen, our project manager, expressed his regrets. He's under the weather today. Hopefully I can figure out what's going on there and convey that.
I'm here as well, Rick.
All right, Sammy. I'll go through it, and if there's any questions, Sammy will be available to answer any questions. Next slide, Johanna. So the La Brea station is the station that is most far along. The roof of the station is pretty much in place. Major structural work continues on the appendages, and the appendages are like special rooms out of the normal footprint of the station. So you'll see that term quite a bit, and several of those appendages we will be requesting or have requested closures for. So you can see the work here at La Brea, and again, this station's getting pretty far along. Next slide. Wilshire Fairfax, again, that's the station next most far along. That's gone well. The excavation is pretty much done on the main station, and it continues on the appendages in some of the rooms. Next slide. This gives an idea for upcoming street closure requests. La Cienega Station, as you know, is in Beverly Hills, so I won't go into too much detail. I will point out we are almost done tunneling. The tunnel machines are on the move from Fairfax to La Cienega. We're dealing with what we call an anomaly in the area near San Vicente. So we're almost done, but we have to clear this anomaly. The anomaly is some kind of material that could damage the tunnel boring machines. So we stop the machines. We have a special process to basically dig out whatever this anomaly is. We think it may be a bridge foundation from the 1800s. It's not on any plans. It's not marked. If we took the tunnel boring machines through that area, it may damage the machines and cause even more of a delay. So that's where we are now. That may impact the schedule, but the focus now is on clearing the anomaly and completing the tunneling. Next slide. You could see some pictures of progress that are going on that, we've asked for closures and received them in the past. Thank you. Next slide. Business Interruption Fund, you could see the numbers there, and we have people available to answer questions if there are any questions. So before I move to Section 2, any questions on Section 1?
Any questions, commissioners?
No questions for me, thank you.
None for me on this item.
Okay.
Looks like,
So I'll tell Jim Cohen I did okay on that one, I hope.
yes. We can move on to the next one. Thank you,
Next
Mr.
one,
Clark.
let's go to section 2, and Mike McKenna, I believe, is on the line to review section 2. Mike?
Yes, thanks, Rick. Again, my name is Mike McKenna. I'm the Executive Officer and Project Manager for Section 2 of the Purple Line Extension. Section 2 is the next 2.5 miles through the city of Beverly Hills with a station at the base of the Golden Triangle near Rodeo Drive and a station in the city of Los Angeles in Century City. Next slide, please. And just to refresh your memory where our station in Century City is, surrounded by all these high-rise buildings. I'm actually in the 1888 Century Park East building, just north of our staging yards. And one of the advantages that we've had with the limited traffic here being in Century City over the last 9 months or so is that most of these high-rise buildings surrounding us are at 10% occupancy or less. So we've been able to get a lot of work done. Next slide. So looking out the photo on the bottom right is not from my window, but it's looking down from the roof of our building. It's a similar view looking to the south at the staging yards on Century Park East. And you can see the tower crane looming over the AAA building there at 1950 Century Park East. That's our tunnel access shaft behind the building. So I'm happy to report to the board that the 2 oil wells that we were abandoning on the Beverly Hills High School campus have been completely abandoned and certified by CalGEM. We did find one additional anomaly at the end of the process that delayed the completion by a couple of weeks. It turned out not to be another oil well, so we were thankful there, but it was a borehole that was proven to be I guess an incomplete well or something that was drilled back 100 years ago and never completed. It was right next to one of the first oil well that we abandoned. But with both of the wells abandoned, tunneling has resumed. The first TBM, the BL machine, or Ruth, named after Ruth Bader Ginsburg, is approximately 300 feet beyond the property line right now underneath Beverly Hills High School. And we should be stopping that machine to install the conveyor belt in the machine in about a week. We expect that the stoppage will occur on Christmas Eve. So that's a huge milestone for us. We'll start up the second machine and get that tunnel underneath the high school in early January. So I bring this to the board's attention because we do have the existing closure in Constellation Boulevard for the launch box that expires on February 23rd. We still think that there's a very good chance that we will be transitioning all of the tunneling operations from Constellation Boulevard to the access shaft on the properties that we control in time to open the street by the 23rd. But I'll be showing you a slide in a minute or so with our forecast for future closures. And I do want to bring to the board's attention that because of COVID and the challenges that the contractor is having with staff, if we don't maintain the progress that we expect to make, there is a possibility that we could come back to the board in January to extend that closure for a couple of weeks. We hope that doesn't happen. We hope everybody stays healthy. But we have seen, of all the places on the project where we're seeing an increase in COVID cases, the tunneling construction work is probably the hot spot for us right now. So we're hoping everybody stays safe. But these are very skilled positions, especially the TBM operators. There aren't a lot of tunnel boring machine operators out there. So, like I said, hopefully everybody stays safe, and we will meet that February 23rd date. Next slide, please. So these are some great photos that show the progress that we've made with the decking in Century City, thanks to the board's approval of some recent closures. By the end of this month, we'll be opening up the section of Constellation between Avenue of the Stars and the launch box. The only property that is serviced by that section of the road is the Century Park or Century Towers property, but it's a fairly large property, the 2 triangular shaped high-rise buildings. So we will be opening up access again for that property owner on January 1st. And on the next slide, you'll see the forecast for upcoming closures. So the first item on the table there is the launch box closure that expires on February 23rd, and there's a possibility that we might have to come back and extend that by a couple of weeks. The next one is between the launch box, the next line is between the launch box and Avenue of the Stars. Now this slide was prepared about 2 weeks ago. We're no longer planning to ask for an extension of the full closure in that area. We've promised to that stakeholder that we will open Constellation between Avenue of the Stars and the launch box on January 1st. There will be some lane closures associated with work, but that will be, those will be closures that will be proposed to the Board of Public Works and DOT for approval. The next line is the intersection of Constellation and Avenue of the Stars. So we have currently we have lane closure approval from DOT to do work in the intersection, but we'll be doing some weekend closures potentially in the intersection, as we definitely will be proposing intersection closures after January 1st for decking through the intersection, but we'll be opening it up during the week. The next one is between the intersection and the western end of our station box, and that's to deck over the remainder of the station beyond what you saw in the photo. So that'll be approximately a little over 3 month closure that we're requesting, and those requests will come in through the Bureau of Engineering in early January. And then once the decking is complete, the last line there, it's not a full closure, but just to raise this to the attention of the board, those are lane closures on Constellation Boulevard that will support the station box excavation. So from approximately, March, April timeframe through the summer, beginning of the summer, we'll be excavating the station box. So it's approximately about a 7 month period that we'll be excavating the station box. And so we have a pretty good track record for station excavation right now. I know the Wilshire Rodeo Station is outside of your jurisdiction, but we've made incredible progress at the Wilshire Rodeo Station excavation. We, of course, had similar full closures of Wilshire Boulevard back in the early stages of the pandemic that allowed us to deck over the station box. And currently, we're about 72% complete on the excavation, and we anticipate being done with the excavation by the end of January. So next slide, please. And this slide is just a summary of the 88 grants awarded to date on Section 2. And there, believe it or not, there are a lot of small businesses and a lot of these high-rise buildings surrounding the work here in Century City that have been recipients of Business Interruption Fund grants. So with that, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Any questions, commissioners? Thank you, Mr. McKenna. We're good? Okay, we're good on this item. Thank you, Mr. McKenna. We'll move on to the next presentation. Thank you.
Last but not least, this is Section 3, and Kimberly Ong, our project manager, will present.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity for an update. I think the summary slide didn't make it, but just to recap, Section 3, 2.5 miles long, 2 stations, one at UCLA, another at the VA, and currently we're approximately 75% complete for design and around 17% on construction with our forecast for revenue service date in 2027. This slide is showing some progress with our tunnel contractor. We do have 2 contractors, one for our tunnels and then the other one for the stations. So our tunnels contractor, the picture on the left, that is our second TBM cutter head that was lowered down in the tail track exit shaft, and our contractor is currently assembling that second TBM. On the right-hand side, that shows both of our number 1 and number 2 TBMs. And our first TBM, that one has started tunneling, and it's gone approximately a little over 100 feet in the BL tunnel. And so that one, we're pleased with the progress that we have with our tunnels contractor. On the next slide, please, this is an update with our stations contractor. Our stations contractor, they are the last contract that we have awarded for the Section 3 project to date, and they're still continuing the final design. The pictures that are shown here is that they have been working to bring in power from SCE along Wilshire Boulevard to the Westwood VA station, and this is a picture of some work that they're doing along one of the ramps that goes from Wilshire Boulevard to the VA, and we expect that they'll be finishing this work this month. And then the other picture on the right-hand side, we had a fairly large storm drain that we relocated that's on the site of the Westwood UCLA station. And that storm drain relocation, which is in the UCLA parking lot, number 36, that work has been completed. And on the next slide, just is a recap of the progress that we have to date on the project. And to note, although I don't have any pictures, we just recently started work on the VA campus with our station's contractor at the end of November. So we're quite pleased that we're starting work on that station area as well. And then some other work that we have with our third-party utility relocations. We have some Verizon Frontier work that we started quite a bit ago, but we are just trying to coordinate that cutover, and we expect to have that completed this month. And then we also had some other prior work that we had with DWP over at the Wilshire Westwood intersection near the 10921 building at Wilshire, and we're scheduling to have that cut over this coming spring. So as far as the other projects, I know that they had showed some projections for their full closures. At this time, my contractor doesn't have full closures in the near future. We do have some partial lane closures that we expect will be starting in January and run through 2021. We do have some utility work for the station's contract. And then later in 2021, then they'll be starting some of the pilot installation, similar to what you've seen on the other contracts. So that concludes the construction update. The next slide is the business interruption fund. And then to date, we have not awarded any grants on the Section 3 project. So, and then there's a total for the overall projects. So that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Any questions, commissioners? Thank you, Ms.
Questions. That's a lot of work that you all been doing. Yeah, it's a big deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on this project?
No questions for me on this one, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Davis. Other than that, Mr. Clark, do we have more presentations on your side?
No, that concludes our presentation, and again, I thank the commission for their time.
And
We
actually,
sure. Somebody was
Vice President Garcia, if I just have just a few comments, not for any specific project, but I just wanted to note a few things. For Mr. Clark, I appreciated your team's work on the projections for all the closures that you put together. I know that's something that we talked about, last year. I think it's been a year since we've seen you now, so we missed you. But I appreciate you guys detailing that and putting those projections in the presentation for us, so thank you. I did just want to say that, we're sorry to hear about some of the positive COVID cases from your contractor. We hope that everything is okay with them, but please keep us updated should things not get better, so that we can continue to be good partners to you as well. And I also appreciated the video that Stephanie and her team put together for the Crenshaw LAX line, so that was much appreciated. And my last comment was, typically I know we would get a hard copy of your presentations. If someone on your team could just give us a digital copy of your very helpful, comprehensive update of all your projects right now, that would be great. But that was really it. But we appreciate your team's work, and we know that it's tough times right now for a number of reasons, and you know that more than anyone. So thanks for the update and for your work today.
We look forward to when we can come in person again.
Thank you.
Rick, you can send me the presentation, and I'll make sure that all commissioners receive a copy of it.
Yes, we'll do that, Dr. Campos.
Thank you.
Thank you for that as well. And thank you for all the points that were made by Dr. Davis today. I really well taken, and I hope that Metro also takes in those points as incorporating them as we move forward also. So thank you for that, Dr. Davis, that discussion.
Thank you.
And thank you to all the Metro personnel that's here today. We wish you happy holidays. I know we probably won't see each other until, after the new year. So please be safe and be healthy for the next year, because we still have a lot of work to be done here in the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
All right, thank you.
All right, commissioners, it is 12:02 exactly. I'm debating whether we have a small 5-minute break or we just keep going, to be honest. What do you guys think?
Madam Chair, just for the record, we have items 2 through 5 and 9 through 11 and 13 still on the table.
Yeah, we have quite a few. Maybe no break. Keep going. What do you guys think? I'm trying to get a sense from the commissioners here. All right, it looks like we're all set to go, and we'll keep going. All right. We're going to start with item number 2. Taking it back, although I think I just lost it on my end right now. Give me 1 second. Sorry for this. I had it here.
Madam Chair, if you'd like, I can read item 2 to the record.
I have it. I got it.
You
Sorry.
got it? Okay.
It just went off my iPad, my tablet. What did I have here? All right. So we're now moving on to item number 2. We're going to go back to item number 2. This item is in Council District number 1. Recommending that the board revise construction budget and construction orders, Matthew and Stewart Company, Inc., super expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation for sewers program, North San Fernando Road 499 project. 1, to authorize a revised construction budget of $405,403 with 97 cents, including contingency for the super expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation for sewers program, North San Fernando Road 499 project. And 2, authorize the city engineer to issue revised construction orders and change orders for up to the authorized revised construction budget for this project. Jeez. I see why President Good has a hard time also reading it. All right, so this is item number 2, Bureau of Engineering. Any questions? Who are we presenting, Dr. Campos?
Madam Chair, today from the Bureau of Engineering, we have Mr. George Wang presenting on this item.
Mr. George Wang. Okay, Mr. George Wang. Sorry, Commissioner, it's going to be a little bit until we pick it right back up. Hi, George Wang. Do you want to get started with your presentation?
You're on mute, George.
You're still on mute. Unmute. Can we unmute him?
I'm asking to unmute him. There he goes.
Okay. I was on mute. Right. Good morning. Good afternoon, commissioners. I think it's okay. I'm gonna start with my report for this agenda item. This project falls under, as you read before, the Super Expedited Wastewater Emergency Rehabilitation for Sewers Program, which I'm gonna just refer to as sewers right now. Just a little background about the program. It was approved on October 18th by 2017 by the Board of Public Works and awarded to 3 identical sewers contractor, Matthew and Stewart, M&R Construction, and Tomovich and Associates, to establish what this is now the 6th round of the sewers pre-qualified contractors list, and with the cost ceiling of $30 million for a contract duration of 5 years. On April 14th of 2020, the board approved increase to the contract ceiling from $30 million to $43 million with no change to the contract conditions. The intent of the sewer contract is for expedited repairs of sewer as identified by LA San during the ongoing sewer assessment and maintenance program. Work issue for each of these three sewers contractors are through a series of construction orders and revised construction orders. For each construction order, the city engineer typically selects the contractor with the lowest price quantity takeoff. The city engineer has the authority to issue construction orders for a total cost up to $150. Now going to this project, North San Fernando Road project is located at the intersection of Figueroa Street and Riverside Drive, just south of the 2 lanes of that traffic circle that was installed not too long ago. And the existing 14-inch sewer pipe is about 15 to 20 feet deep and about 100 linear feet long. The initial scope of the work was to locate the paved over downstream maintenance hole and raise it to the street surface, and also to perform a closed circuit television CCTV of the pipe to assess its current condition. Masco was the low bidder at the time and was awarded this project, and the original construction order was issued. After reviewing the CCTV footage, the sewer reach was found to be broken at various locations, and it was determined with through LA San to fully remove and replace the existing 100 linear feet of pipe. So, in addition, the sanitation also revised the scope to update the immediate. There's an immediate reach, which is a 12-inch diameter pipe with about 23 linear foot. They also requested the BOE to upgrade that pipe to a 15-inch diameter pipe. So traffic, because this is located in a very big roundabout, traffic control plan was prepared and approved by LADOT. And the conditions of that traffic control plan was that the contractor was required to work at night. So part of the sewers contract, there is a night factor that is applied to the bid items. And a revised construction order was issued for that amount of $108,000 back in March 9, 2020, to address this second reach of repairs. During the construction of the 15-inch, the long reach, the 100-foot reach, there were several unforeseen conditions that were encountered. They resulted in additional time and material costs that was authorized for repairing unmarked electrical utility ducts during the excavation and breaking off and removing large unidentified concrete slabs during the trenching work. And also, average soils were encountered, which required an increase, a change in the shoring and the trenching method that was previously utilized by the contractor. And then during the investigation of the second reach, the 23-foot reach, there were also unknown utilities that were encountered and concrete encasements that were encountered that also increased the cost of the project. Therefore, a pipe bursting method was proposed for the 23-foot long reach instead as an alternative to upsize the pipe. And the scope change increased altogether the project cost to an estimated $403, including contingency, which exceeds the city engineer's construction authorization of $150,000. Therefore, we're at the board today to request the board to approve a construction budget for that amount and authorize the city engineer to issue the revised construction order for this project to make the scheduled repairs. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Juan. Very nice report and thorough. Any questions, commissioners? We'll start with Dr. Davis, Commissioner Dr. Davis, any questions on this item?
No, thank you, George, for your report, and no questions. I think it was a great report.
Thank you. Commissioner Calosa, any questions?
No questions from me, thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Villegas, any questions on your side?
I don't have any either. Mr. Pang, you did a really good job. Thank you for the explanation. Yes,
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Han. Any, having said that, any commissioners, any motions, or any? I'll do what we used to do. Anyone who has second my motion to approve item number 2?
I second it.
Second by Commissioner Dr. Davis. So with that, any objections, Commissioner Calosa? No objection, Commissioner Villegas. Hearing done, this item is now adopted. And I imagine this has, it's not the same adopted and forthwith anymore, right, Dr. Campos?
We can send this item forthwith if your commission would like, yes. That would be our request.
Okay, then that's what we will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Juan, and have a good weekend. And if we don't see each other, happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And, thank you.
You too. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you. So, Commissioners, just so that you know, we have 3, 4, 5, and then we also have 9, 10, 11, and then we have our very last oral report to hear. So, just giving an update of where we're at. All right. Moving on to item number 3. This is a contract acceptance in CD6. This is a contract acceptance for a Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant chlorine contact tanks high pressure effluent HPE system improvement. Primary and tanks HPE piping replacement CIP 8637. Recommending the board to 1, accept this contract. Dr. Campos, do we have any presenters for this item?
Yes, we do, Madam Chair. We have Ms. Stephanie Wiles from the Bureau of Contract Administration here.
Okay, Ms. Wiles, you are on. Please tell us what all of this means.
And good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Today we are recommending that this contract be accepted. It was executed by the board on March 21st, 2018 in the amount of $1,687,412 even, and was completed on March 5th, 2020 by Metro Builders and Engineers Group Limited. The project scope was to replace existing corroded copper high-pressure effluent piping at the DC Tillman primary settling tanks and the replacement of the piping and hand valve systems for the chlorine contact tanks in the area, basically disinfecting the wastewater effluent. The project had a contingency of $168,741 even, giving an authorized budget of $1,856,153. On August 5th, 2020, the board adopted Bureau of Engineering's report number 1, which increased the contingency funding for the project by $451,639, revising the authorized budget to $2,307,792 even. There were 19 change orders issued, increasing the contract amount, and the project was completed at 30% above the awarded amount and 4.51% below its authorized budget. The change orders exceeded 5% of the original contract amount due to many unforeseen conditions relating to the project site. Additional work was to reroute the existing pipelines to allow for the new installation of the piping for future maintenance. Additionally, there was a damaged T-lock liner within the primary tanks that needed replacement to ensure that the protection of the concrete from the highly corrosive environment was mitigated. Additionally, there was compensation for extended time due to the extension of the contract, resulting in additional 127 calendar days. Final corrections, again, were completed on March 5th, 2020, and there were a total of 21 payments made to the contractor. There are no funds disputed or withheld, and the funds were provided through Fund Number 75N, Appropriation Unit Number 50PJF6, Fund Number 761, Appropriation Unit Number 50PJG6, and the Wastewater Capital Improvement Program. The contractor has complied with all of the EEO opportunity requirements of the contract, and the mandatory subcontractor minimum requirement was 15%. The contractor achieved 11.42% after the deduction of fixed cost items were paid. There are no unresolved property owners' complaints in connection with this project, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wiles. I appreciate your report and appreciate your tree behind you that it's so symmetrically lined up. All your lights are all lined up.
I'll have to give you my secret on that.
Yeah, my tree does not look like that, by the way. Very nice. Good. Mr. Jordan, are you there? Did we lose our city attorney? Are we still in legal compliance here? Ted?
Madam Chair, I do see Mr.
Sorry,
Jordan.
I've had some, a little bit of a technical issue. I think I can now hear you again. My apologies for that.
Okay, good. We want to make sure we see you.
That's okay. I had just some issues locally on my computer here.
All right, no problem.
No,
okay,
we're fine.
Well, perfect. We're moving on then. Thank you, Mrs. Wiles. We're going to move on to questions. Any questions, commissioners? Dr. Davis?
None on this one. I think I've been briefed on this.
Perfect. Commissioner Calosa?
No questions for me, thank you.
And Commissioner Villegas?
No questions for me either, thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, no questions. Do I hear any motions?
I move.
So moved by Commissioner Dr. Davis.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Villegas. And with that, we will, any objections, Commissioner Calosa?
No objections.
No objections on my side either. So we're hearing none. This item is now adopted. Thank you, Mrs. Wiles, for your presentation.
Madam Chair, would your board like to send this item forthwith as well?
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry about that. Moving to item number 4. Item number 4, is that you too, Mrs. Wiles? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Mrs. Wiles, item number 4, this is a contract acceptance in Council District 11 for the Hyperion Treatment Plant, IPS screw pumps, installation and upgrades. Recommending the board to 1, accept this contract. Mrs. Wiles, all yours.
Yes. Good afternoon again. Sephi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration, requesting the board accept this contract, which was executed on June 24, 2015, in the amount of $2,484,000 even to Kiewit Infrastructure West Company. The project basically consisted of removal and recycling of 6 of the existing screw pumps and installation of 6 new coated carbon steel screw pump barrels for the intermediate pumping station, and also installation of condition sensors for the remaining pumps, which is there's a total of 10 at the plant. The project was awarded with the contingency in the amount of $248,400, giving the authorized budget of $2,732,400 even. On May 11, 2016, the board adopted BOE's report number 1, which increased the contingency funding for the project by $344,087, giving a revised authorized budget of $3,076,487 even. There were 18 change orders issued, increasing the contract amount by $557,007.91, bringing the total cost of the project to $3,041,007.91. The project was completed at 22.42% above the awarded amount, yet 1.15% below its authorized budget. The reason for the additional change orders was for compensable time extension and, again, unforeseen conditions encountered during construction. The delays also were as a result of the wet weather season anticipated for the El Nino effects during that time. Final corrections were completed on June 1, 2017, and there were a total of 23 payments made to the contractor. There were no funds disputed or withheld, and the funds were provided through the Wastewater System Paper B Construction Fund number 70X, as well as the Sewer Capital Fund number 761. The contractor has complied with all of the equal employment opportunity and labor compliance requirements of the contract. The mandatory subcontractor minimum was 25%, and the contractor achieved 46.85% after deducting the fixed cost items paid to the contractor. There are no unresolved property owners' complaints in connection with this project, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wells, for your report. That was very good. Any questions, commissioners? Starting with Dr. Davis.
None for me on this item. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Calosa?
No questions for me. Thank you.
And Commissioner Villegas?
No questions for me either. Thank you.
Good. Having said that, anyone want to move this motion?
So move.
So moved by Commissioner Villegas.
Second.
Second by Dr. Davis. Any objections, Commissioner Calosa?
No objections. Thank you.
And no objections on my side either. So with that, hearing no objections, this item is adopted and moved forthwith. Oh, good. I did it right this time. All right. Thank you, Dr. Campos, and thank you, Sefi, for your presentation. Is that your last presentation, Dr. Wells?
Actually, I have agenda item number 9, the substitution.
Okay, no worries. I'll actually take that one now too, so that way I didn't know if you were going to be our this was the last presentation. I was just going to wish you all the best on our holidays upcoming. But we will now move to number 9. Are we still missing 5, right, Dr. Campos?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, I'm going to move to number 9 so that we can finish with Sefi, and then we'll move back to number 5 after that. Perfect. Okay. All right. This is item number 9 in Council District 11. This is a subcontractor substitution, Carbon Activated Corporation, recommending that the board concur with the action of Commissioner Dr. Davis approving the request of Carbon Activated Corporation for the subcontractor substitution of Patriot Paving, Inc. with Hardy and Harper, Inc. for asphalt concrete work for the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Intermediate Pump Station Order Control Facility Improvements. Ms. Wiles, you want to present on that?
Yes, good afternoon again. Sefi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration. The Bureau received a request on October 6, 2020 from Carbon Activated Corporation to substitute their bid-listed SBE DVBE subcontractor Patriot Paving for asphalt concrete work on the aforementioned project located in Council District 11 with Hardy and Harper Inc. And other business enterprise subcontractor. The request was accompanied by the letter from Patriot withdrawing from their portion of work due to the COVID conditions pandemic. And the bid list amount for Patriot's portion of asphalt concrete work was $89,750 even. And the amount submitted for Hardy's portion of work was for $90,000 even, a difference of $250. Carbon Activated Corporation will decrease its prime participation by $250 so that the work performed by Hardy will be at no additional cost to the city. The Bureau concurs with the recommendation of Dr. Davis to approve the substitution, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Commissioner? Starting with Dr. Davis.
No, I have been briefed, certainly know the issue, and if there are not any other remarks, or even after there are, I will move the item on this number.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, for that. We'll go with Commissioner Calosa. Any questions?
No questions for me, thank you.
And Commissioner Villegas?
No questions for me either. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Have a
Dr.
wonderful holiday.
Yeah, Dr. Vic Davis has now moved the motion, and I will second that motion. With no objections, this item is now adopted and moved forthwith.
Happy holidays.
Yay, all right. Thank you, Sefi, for your presentations. Happy holidays. I don't think we'll see you again, but we'll see you back in 2021.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
God, we're already telling people that she's. How many more meetings do we have left, Dr. Campos, in this year? Just one more?
We only have this Friday, yes, December 18th.
Oh, okay. So I will be telling everybody happy holidays. Okay, moving back up to number 5. Item number 5, this is a contract award for Council's District 1, 4, 10, and 14. This contract award is a high voltage conversion FED Federal Program Unit 2 STM/STP series to multiple/surface transportation program street lighting project. Recommending the board to 1, declare Comet Electric Inc. the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award them a contract in the amount of $1,446,630.00. I hope I said that right. Forward a copy of this forward a copy of this report to the affected council district offices, and 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract of this project upon approval of all required documents by the city attorney. And with that, who do we have presenting, Dr. Campos?
Madam Chair, we have Ms. Janet Kwan from the Bureau of Street Lighting presenting this item.
Okay, Ms. Kwan, are you ready?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm ready to hear you.
Great. If I may, for the record, I'd like to just take a minute to address the Assistant City Attorney Ted Jordan's remark on agenda item number 6 for the street lighting conduit only Unit 10 project. I took a moment to confirm that Baker Electric is not a certified local business enterprise, contrary to what I had said in my presentation. However, the board report does correctly indicate this, so I apologize for any confusion I might have caused. Now, coming back to
Thank you for
thank you. So coming back to the high voltage conversion FED program Unit 2, we are recommending award to Comet Electric Inc., the first low bidder. This is a federally reimbursed project and will convert the existing high voltage series street lighting circuits to low voltage by replacing conduit, pole boxes, wires, luminaires, and retrofit kits. The financing for this project is front-funded through a loan from the Municipal Improvement Corporation of Los Angeles and reimbursed by the Federal Highway Administration. The first low bidder, Comet Electric, submitted a bid for $1,446,630, which is 1.25% lower than the engineer's estimate of $1,465,000. Comet Electric has met the disadvantaged business enterprise goal of 10% by pledging 12.77%. Their bid bond has been extended to March 1st, 2021. They have been found to meet all the requirements of the bid. Therefore, we are recommending that the board award Comet Electric the contract for this project.
Thank you, Mrs. Kwan, for your report. That is, any questions, commissioners? Dr. Davis?
Sure. We don't have any protests or concerns from the other competing contractors on this job, right? Or was this a selected contractor on a list? How did this process take place?
No, this was competitive bidding, and we have had no protests.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Calosa?
No questions for me, thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Villegas?
None for me either. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hearing no questions at this time, we can move forward with a motion. I'll move on this motion, on this item.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Calosa and Dr. Davis. Any objections, Commissioner Villegas?
No objections. Thank you.
No objections, hearing none. This item is now adopted. And thank you so much.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. Item number 5 is subject to the mayor's approval due to cost containment since this is a contract award. Could your board reconsider this item as amended to subject to the mayor's office approval or subject to the mayor's approval due to cost containment?
Yes, I thank you for saying that. And how do I just amend that piece? Do I amend it to say,
adopt the report as amended subject to the mayor's approval due to cost containment, and if your motion stands, we can reconfirm Caloza and Dr. Davis for the second.
Okay, so let's do that. Do we need to take another round of motions, or should we just amend it this way?
If you can just reconfirm the motion, that would be good.
Sorry. So we, I moved and second by Commissioner Dr. Davis, and was it just myself and Caloza, right?
Caloza and Davis second.
Right, I didn't write it down. To move forward and send this to the mayor's cost containment. I know I'm not saying it right. Cost containment.
So the motion would be to adopt this report as amended, subject to the mayor's approval due to cost containment.
Due to cost. I'm writing this down because I don't have it on my notes here. To adopt this motion as amended due to the mayor's cost containment.
Correct.
Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. You can correct me. It's okay, Dr. Campos.
And that's a motion from Commissioner Garcia and seconded by Commissioners Caloza and Dr. Davis.
Yes, exactly. And this motion is from myself, Commissioner Garcia, second by Dr. Davis and Commissioner Caloza.
Great, thank you.
Do I need all the proper wording now?
Yes.
I think you captured it well. Thank you.
You're good. Commissioner, for the record, most city contracts are subject to the mayor's approval already under Executive Directive 3. The cost containment memo sort of expands upon that. You'll see in the report that the board just adopted, there are several recommendations. And one of them indicates that it's sort of upon approval of the city attorney. But that's already in there. So this essentially amends that so that it's not only is it sort of subject to my approval or this office of the city attorney, it's also subject to the mayor's approval. So what you just did accomplished all that, but because it's not baked into the report, that's why we are adopting these things as amended. So the amendment is just sticking in that other subject to approval on. That makes it more clear.
I just didn't have the right wording on it, so it's subject to the mayor's approval due to the cost containment.
The cost containment memo. It's a memo issued by the mayor's office.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Regarding given the emergency that we're in.
Definitely. Perfect. Thank you.
We're good.
Thank you, everybody, for the clarification. All right. So that was number 5. Mrs. Kwan, you're still here?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your report and have happy holidays.
Thank you, you too. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. So now we'll move on to item number 10. And this is an AFE. This is an AFE for the Bureau of Sanitation and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $58,158 to encumber funds to cover annual secured property taxes, first and second installments for fiscal year 2020-2021 for various Bureau of Sanitation properties. Do we have any speakers on this one, Dr. Campos?
We do. We have Ms. Jennifer Martinez from the Bureau of Sanitation presenting this item.
All right. Ms. Martinez, are you here?
Yes, right here.
Okay, all yours. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Vice President Garcia and Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Martinez. I'm with Bureau of Sanitation's Wastewater Engineering Services Division, and I put together the annual authority of expenditure for various LSN property taxes. This authority of expenditure is for 10 properties, and like you said, the total of this AE is just over $58,000, and will cover the first and second installments of taxes for this fiscal year. It's pretty straightforward. That's all I have on it.
So basically, we're paying our taxes for the various properties that sanitation has throughout the city.
Exactly.
Got it. All right, any questions, commissioners? We'll start with Commissioner Coloso this time.
No questions for me, thank you.
Commissioner Villegas?
I'm good, thank you.
And Dr. Davis, any questions?
None for me either, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. No questions. Ms. Martinez, with that, anyone wants to place a motion?
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Villegas. I'll second that. And with that, any objections, commissioners? Commissioner Pelosa and Dr. Davis, any objections?
None for me, thank you.
Dr. Davis, any objections?
I believe he's on mute.
He's on mute. Okay, I'm gonna take that as no objections on Dr. Davis' behalf. So hearing none, this item is now adopted. And does this need to, is this subject to the mayor's approval's cost containment memo? Oh, I got it right.
Good question, Madam Chair. This item is not subject to the mayor's cost containment memo simply because the mayor has adopted a blanket exemption for AFEs less than 100,000. So this has already been approved.
Got it, no problem. So with that, this motion is now adopted and moved forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Martinez. Have a good week and happy holidays to you and your family.
To you as well, thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe. All right, commissioners, we're moving along. We're now going to item number 11. This is a bond to release stop payment notice for HBG Construction Corp. HBG Construction Corp. and SureTech Insurance Company are transmitting a bond to release money withheld on stop payment notice filed by CSI Electric Contractors, Inc. Bond amount of $141,235.18 for furnishing electrical work in connection with the Lafayette Triangle Bridge Housing Project. Do we have any presenters on this? Dr. Campos.
No, we do not, Madam Chair. This item is a routine item just to receive the bond to release the stop notice. We are asking that this board receive the item forthwith.
No problem. And with that, any seconds to my motion to move forward with item number 11, to adopt item number 11?
I second it.
Second by Commissioner Dr. Davis. Any objections, Commissioner Colosa or Commissioner Villegas?
No objections.
No objections. Dr. Campos, is this subject, this is not subject to any of the mayor's stuff, right? This is a stop payment.
That is correct, not subject to the cost containment memo.
All right, so with that, hearing no objections, we have adopted this item and we will move it forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Any other items, voting items on the menu that I left behind, Dr. Campos?
That is correct, Madam Chair. No voting items left on the table. We have item number 13, an oral report, and then we also have an adjourning motion.
Exactly. Okay, so we'll move now to item number 13, which is an oral report by the Bureau of Street Services. Bureau of Street Services, who's presenting? I see Mara. I see Kevin. Hey.
Hi. Kevin and Mara are your presenters, yes.
All right, Kevin and Mara, it's all yours. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioners and Dr. Campos. As Mara pulls up the presentation, we'll make this brief and quick. Back several months ago, the city's Innovation Commission approved a new project pilot for us to use the Zen City tool as a way to gain insights upon, the silent majority, so to speak, which is a tool basically to scan and look at social media posts and figure out the kinds of trending posts and trending topics that there are throughout the city for various kinds of services that our Bureau offers. We've been working very closely with the Mayor's office on this, and they've been using this for the COVID-19 pandemic tracking purposes. The board had asked us to come back to provide a status report mid-pilot, and this is the report that we're going to present to you. So Mara is going to walk you through this, and we'll try to keep this quick. Thanks. Go ahead, Mara.
Thank you, Kevin, and good afternoon, Commissioners. So Zen City is a social media listening tool that brings together different social media publicly available information sources and as well as City 311 data to provide the city with valuable insights and an overview of resident sentiment on various topics of concern for the streets LA, such as street sweeping, urban forestry, and sidewalk repairs. This is part of our commitment to innovation and inclusion, and we are testing the platform to evaluate how it might inform constituent service priorities, as well as develop a further holistic understanding of our street assets and identify areas for improvement. So this project was awarded $78,000 by the Innovation and Performance Commission to test Zen City for a one-year trial basis. It was approved by City Council on March 6th and approved by Board of Public Works through an AFE on March 24th. This project is being managed in partnership with the Mayor's Office Innovation Team and is being tested by various departments throughout the city. Streets LA is using Zen City platform to create pilot projects to gather insights on key Bureau programs, measure program effectiveness and community satisfaction, and use these insights to identify areas for improvement. Here's a snapshot of the Zen City's dashboard, which shows community sentiment over time. You can modify the time frame to look at a short period of 1 day to as long as 1 year. It also includes helpful information such as trending topics for that project you're looking at, as well as the number of interactions or the number of people who have interacted with that topic on social media and 311. One of the programs that we've looked at is our street sweeping program. Since we started this pilot project, there have been over 176,000 interactions on social media and 311 related to our street sweeping program. And with Zen City, we've noticed several spikes occurring over the last several months. Zen City's team of data analysts took a look into these different spikes and provided some key insights. They noted that there were nearly 77,000 interactions, mostly related to the suspension of parking tickets during street sweeping. And this sparked a conversation on the effectiveness of street sweeping. Some people noted that they didn't notice a difference in the cleanliness of their streets, while others noticed that there was more debris and that street sweeping was needed. So this is especially important for the Bureau as we continue to reevaluate our street sweeping program and begin to look for ways to optimize our existing street sweeping routes so that we can clean all city streets when they need to be and make sure that our program is equitable. So in summary, this Zen City platform has provided just a good overview of what the concerns are from the community. Some of the pros include that it aggregates multiple data sources into one platform that's easy to digest. It also helps us monitor community discourse over time so that we can address those concerns either via our social media readily or plan for projects and programs that can address those concerns. Some of the cons are that artificial intelligence and machine learning is not perfect when it comes to analyzing human emotions. For example, a computer can't always tell if someone's being sarcastic, and it might interpret that as a positive or neutral sentiment, when in reality it should be a negative sentiment. Some of the negative discourse related to Streets LA performance is not related to our services, such as parking enforcement. And lastly, there are limitations in geolocation. So because there is data protection and Zen City doesn't use any location-specific data from the users, we're not able to address any location-specific concerns unless it's routed through 311. So some of the next steps as we continue to use this platform platform is to start analyzing Streets LA specific projects. We've already identified several projects in the planning phase, as well as potential construction projects that we can use this platform for. And then as well as continue to determine if density analysis can improve existing workflows and therefore labor savings, and if we can improve our overall social media presence and public response. And then we will continue to work with density to modify this tool to meet our specific needs in Streets LA, as well as gather more insights on our projects and programs. So that concludes our presentation. And I'm here with Jen Tolentino from the Mayor's Office as well, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mara, for your presentation, and Kevin, this was really, you guys were brief. Didn't lie about that. I'll send it over, pass it on to my colleagues right now, but one note, AI is not perfect, so glad to hear that. We're not gonna be taken over by robots yet. And then second, you said something about the geolocation is not specific, so technically we're also getting information or responses from other parts of the city. Is that what happens?
Yeah, so it's looking at information specifically within the city of LA, looking at, it could be neighborhood, council, social media platforms and everything, but it won't pinpoint exactly where it's coming from.
I see. Okay. Okay, those are just my few questions for now. I'm going to pass it over to our commissioners. Any questions? Dr. Davis. Dr. Davis, any questions? We're going to move to Commissioner Calosa. Any questions on your side?
Just a few quick questions. Thanks to Kevin and Mark for your presentation. Nice to see you both. I remember when we heard this item last year, I know there's definitely some concerns, if I recall correctly, some public comment around some of the privacy issues. So just wanted to see how that was going. I know you guys had some assurances within the contract that the data protections would be there, but just wanted a status update on how that was going and if there are any concerns on your end.
We haven't received any concerns on our Streets LA end. I don't know, Jen, if from the mayor's office you've received any concerns.
Sure. So we, as Mara mentioned, the way Zen City is set up, all of the data is anonymized, so we're unable to, it makes it more difficult to identify within geolocation, but we have found that to be true. The commitment to anonymous data is in fact happening, and we haven't received any issues on our end.
Got it. Thank you for confirming that. That's really good to hear. I think this pilot is exciting, in terms of just understanding behaviors and getting feedback in a way that maybe might be more efficient, or in ways that the public may not feel comfortable sharing to us directly, but they would feel more comfortable posting on Twitter or Facebook. My last question before I turn it back over to our chair is, Mara, you mentioned that this pilot was also being used by the mayor's office right now for COVID-19 work. Can you explain a little bit about what work that is and how it's being used, just for our awareness?
Yeah, I'll hand that over to Jen to speak on that.
Hi, this is Jen Tolentino with the Mayor's Office. I'm on the innovation team. So we've been using Zen City specifically around COVID-19. And what we do, we actually use it on a daily basis to look at how Angelinos are talking about the coronavirus, measuring discourse around mask compliance, especially early on in April, when we were the first city that required masks to be worn. We sort of tracked what was the sentiment, what were people saying if they were not compliant, if they were compliant, how could we sort of shape our messaging to be, ensuring people understand the importance of it. So we very much kept our ear to the ground using Zen City to better understand how people are talking about coronavirus. It's been also really helpful to sort of quickly identify misinformation that's out there. So something that might be trending that's inaccurate, we're able to quickly share that across the communications team so that they can get out in front of it and try to address issues that are happening. In this current moment, we're using it very much to look at how people are talking about the vaccine. If there are any, messaging concerns that we should be paying attention to. Are people talking about the vaccine? Who, in terms of official sources or unofficial sources? Official sources being all the city handles, including the mayor. Unofficial being news outlets or anonymous Angelinos. So that helps us also determine what's driving the conversation around vaccines or the coronavirus, and how do we compare to potentially other cities of similar size or within our same geographic location. So that's kind of a flavor of how we're using it, and we found it to be an incredibly helpful tool for making sure that we're staying on message and keeping people informed in a meaningful way.
Great, thank you for that. That was really helpful to just get a quick briefing on that, and I think one overall comment that this is work in addition to the actual outreach that I know Streets LA does in person, or not in person, I'm sorry, virtually, previously in person, but I know this is all in addition to the outreach work that you all already do. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this project takes you all, and thanks for being good partners and allowing the Mayor's Office and the I team to use it for COVID work.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa and Jen from the innovation team, as well as Mara and Kevin, for that thorough clarification on how this is being used. Dr. Davis, do you have any questions for this presentation? I think you're on mute.
None for me.
No problem. Okay, anything else that anybody wants to ask or add regarding Sense City?
Hi, I just didn't get a chance to ask any questions.
I apologize, Commissioner.
That's okay. President Good does the same thing. It's probably the V. I really appreciate the report that Streets LA provided, and thank you, Jennifer, from the innovation team, from the mayor's team, for being here as well. I too had similar questions as Commissioner Calosa just asked about the coronavirus. I do remember when we approved this early on in March, just rushing it through because we know that information really provides a lot of information. It drives, messaging, and it really drives the sentiment of people and where we're getting our news from. So we know that it's very valuable. And I really like that Streets LA, I think they already had a contract with them in the past. Or maybe I'm incorrect. I don't remember it specifically. But I like that you're picking issues, Streets LA, and in seeing where people are getting their information, from, and seeing how that's just driving information also for us. I consider us, since I'm the liaison for Streets LA, but I just say that just broadly. But I think that I'm getting to a question here. Are there other topics of discussion or other topics that you guys are looking at to be able to, see where we need to make changes to, or see what else we need to do? And this question is from Mara.
Right. So we've created projects to take a look into all our different programs. So street sweeping was one of the examples, but we also have projects related to our street furniture program, sidewalk repair, and others, to gather data and get a sense of, what information are we missing that we aren't already aware of. So it's just been a process to, take a look at that data, and now we're in the next step of, fine-tuning some of that information that we've gathered to create more specific projects and develop these next steps.
Wonderful. Thanks for that update. I think, I would like to see it, come back in another 6 months just to hear a little bit more. And then for the mayor's office, Jennifer, if you have any information that you can share with us, I think what you said already is very valuable. But just in terms of, any graphs or anything like that that you could share, that I would find that, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I'm happy to pull something together, just sort of an overview of what we found around the coronavirus and send that. I'll coordinate with Mara to make sure you all get that, but it has been just an incredible tool for us, and I'm sure you guys will find it really helpful to see how we're using it and what we're learning. So happy to share that.
Thank you so much.
That's good.
No further comments or questions. Thank you, Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas, for that, and I apologize for not calling you again. Sorry.
No worries.
Thank you, everybody, for your presentation. Any last comments or questions regarding Sun City? Hearing none, we thank you for your lovely presentation and wish you, Mara, Kevin, and Jennifer, a good, happy holiday, since this is our second to last meeting. So, and see you back in 2021.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. And with that, we are done with our agenda items. However, I will pass it now to Commissioner Calosa for an adjourning motion. Right before I do that, let me just double check with Dr. Campos. Anything else that I need to take care of before yes.
Madam Chair, that clears the desk.
Thank you very much. That's what I was missing. All right. Commissioner Calosa, please take us to our adjourning motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, I have an adjourning motion today in memory of a beloved colleague and dedicated public servant, John Talcott. He was loved by his family and friends. And before I begin, I'd like to thank some of the people who coordinated to make today's adjournment possible. Thank you to Dr. Campos, Eric Munoz, Lindsay Nash, Greg Vandergriff, Jonathan Carroll, Julie Sauter, and of course our city engineer, Gary Lee Moore. I believe John's sister, Bonnie, as well as his father, David, are also joining us virtually. So thank you for being here, and thank you so much for your patience. I know we had a particularly long agenda today, so we appreciate you staying on with us. And I believe several of John's colleagues from the Bureau of Engineering that he worked with closely are also here joining us virtually. John Talcott passed away on December 1st, 2020 at the age of 49. He is survived by his father, David Talcott, a senior civil engineer who retired from the Bureau of Engineering in 1996, and his sister, Bonnie Talcott. John joined the city in 1999 and was assigned to the Project Award and Control Division for the last 15 years. Prior to joining PAC, John spent several years in the Geotechnical Engineering Division. His assignments in PAC included utility coordination and notification, maintenance of the Uniform Project Reporting System, and updating and maintaining the project delivery manual. John was noted for his colorful disposition and his amazing knowledge of movie trivia. Those who knew him also knew about his interests in all things related to science fiction, television, movies, superheroes, and anime. As John often said, if a television show failed to keep his interest, that show had a special talent for being terrible, as he gave every show an opportunity to keep his interest. John will truly be missed, and from the bottom of my heart, and I know from the Board of Public Works, we are truly, sincerely sorry to lose a member of our city family, and we thank his family for being here today, as well as all his colleagues at the Bureau of Engineering. Today we adjourn in his memory, and we thank John sincerely for his great dedication and service to the city of Los Angeles. So thank you, colleagues, and with that, we adjourn today's meeting in memory of John Talcott.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. That's a very heartfelt on that, and we're sorry to his family and the Bureau of Engineering for losing somebody so special with Mr. Talcott. And with that, we adjourn today's meeting. Thank you, colleagues. Have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you back Friday.
All right. See everybody. We don't have executive meeting today, do we?
We do not, Commissioner. We'll have it Friday.
Okay, thank you.